Hey there, I'm Daniel Holt. I'm a senior game designer at Wizards of the Coast, and I was the lead game designer for Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy Universes Beyond Commander decks.
There you go. Cool.
And you are?
I'm Daniel Victoria, executive editor of SmashPad.com. So you were saying like this has been in development since 2022?
Yep.
Cool. Can you talk to me a little bit about that process from here until now?
Yeah, so I was asked in 2022 if I wanted to lead the Final Fantasy Commander deck product, and I've worked on other UDs before, but Final Fantasy 1 was one of those like, oh, I grew up playing this. They're like, do you want to lead this? I'm like, absolutely want to lead this. And this was my first design lead. I've been in about 20 teams at the time, but I've never led a set. So this was a real passion project to get to do, and that's, I've led a few sets since then, but I'm really excited this is finally coming out. So September 2022, we kicked it off. We had to decide, what are the decks? How many of the decks? So we landed on 4, and we decided these are going to be full games. When you buy this box, it's going to be the full entire game. So, what games are we going to do? Final Fantasy VII was one of the first ones we picked because the remake, Rebirth series. Everyone knows Cloud and Sephiroth, the tier system where you have common. Every player knows something about this game. Sephiroth and Cloud combined. So Final Fantasy VII. 14 has such an active player base and such a dedicated community. That was kind of the easy second. Mm-hmm. The next two were kind of the tricky ones. I think a lot of games could have filled those slots. My personal favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy X. So I kind of pushed for that. Zakiel, our product architect, was Final Fantasy X. That's his favorite as well. So he didn't argue. So we got that in there. And then the fourth one was the trickiest. Yanni Skolnicka was the exploratory designer who, for about a month, worked with us on this, and his favorite is 6, so he pitched it. He's like, hey, what if you did 6, but focus on the world we're in the second half of the game? I was like, I love that idea, and it got us to do the Pixel era as well, so we got one game mode for Pixel era, and so that really kind of made the full circle of the 4 decks.
Awesome. Yeah, I was actually going to ask how you came across to pick those games.
Yeah.
My favorite is 6, so props to him.
Nice.
So I'm one of those people who got interest specifically because of this. So with that in mind, did that really change your how should I put it? Did that really change your mindset onto how some of these cards were built or with the ideas and stuff?
About the fans?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. There was so much, we use the word responsibility.
Yes.
For these, we wanted to make sure these got right because players know what these characters do.
Yes.
And that's, you mentioned you're new to Magic. I just taught you both how to play in that last game session. It's coming from a gaming background, you kind of already know how these mechanics work. Mana, equipment, characters, all of these are just things as a gamer you already know, so it's kind of easy to pick up Magic and learn to play. And that said, you already kind of know what the character should do. If you cast a Fireball spell, you know it's going to be damage, it's going to do it immediately. That Sephiroth's intervention earlier with the sword coming down, that's probably going to kill somebody, and it does destroy a creature. So it kind of already hits those things you expect. So when making all these new cards, we had to be true to character and what they are in Magic.
Okay. This is probably more of a basic Magic question. So again, we said that this was started in 2022. What kind of work goes into all of that going into where we are now?
Oh, sure, yeah. It was, we talked about it, well, maybe we haven't talked about it, depending on how this cuts. It's picking the 4 games for the decks,
yes.
So picking theme.
Yeah.
It's getting the face commander, so I'm going to speak mostly for the commander decks.
Sure.
Picking the face commander was the tricky thing, obviously Cloud makes sense, Tidus makes sense, although Yuna's the backup commander, so you kind of see her there. Final Fantasy VI was one of those, is it Terra or is it Celis? Mm-hmm. It was actually Celis for a long time. Terra came later when we're like, okay, fine, we'll switch to Terra, because it's focused on the world we're in half. So, Celis is the one who starts that off, who starts getting the party back together. But ultimately, she became the backup, and Terra became the face. And for 14, it was deciding, is it the Warrior of Light that's your character in Final Fantasy 14? But there's 20 plus jobs in Final Fantasy 14. Everyone customizes a character. I couldn't get that with one card. Mm-hmm. So we went with the Astrola and the other Scions as the main cast of members. And then you'll see the heroes show up in job select equipment and random cards that make 1/1 hero tokens representing the player base. So once we decide on the face commander, then it's really about theme. Final Fantasy X was a counter theme. I went with that because in the game, the sphere grid, you move the counters with little pebbles around and get stats up.
Yes.
I wanted that exact thing in Magic, where you're moving the counters around. Tidus allows you to move those counters and raise your stats, so you're playing with the sphere grid while you're playing Magic. So now we got our themes. We need 100 cards. We need to decide what characters get new cards, what characters show up on the reprints, and that's the long process, right? It's me working with creatively to decide do these reprints work? Like, I got Crux of Fate. I think we talked about that earlier. Crux of Fate in the Final Fantasy 14 deck, because it is that moment of, do you choose to side with the dragons or the non-dragons, and then destroy one of those. It's not a dragon deck, but it was like so creatively flavorful for it to be in that deck, and we kind of put those types of moments in these decks. So that it's playtesting, it's iterating, it's designing the cards. We get the full package. We have internal, external playtests. We talk with Square. We get the art in. We talk about the art. We concept it, and then we package it, and it's out the door. And I know that was like a quick summary.
Yeah.
That's the last 4 to 5 years for us.
Yeah. You briefly touched upon art. I know you're not an artist, but I was wondering if you can talk about the experience working with Square Enix in order to get certain assets approved and things like that.
Yeah, so they worked hand in hand. The people at Square are big fans of Magic, just like we're big fans of the Square Enix games. So they knew almost everything we showed them. Like, we took cards over there to get play tested. They played hand in hand. Every piece of art had to get vetted through Square, and they would be like, this detail needs fixing. We'd fix the detail. And that's Dylan Deviney was the creative lead for this, and that's who I talked to about it a lot, about getting concepts. I'm like, could this work for this reprint? And why don't you try this? Or he would research and be like, this creature actually works better for that reprint or that new card. And it's about digging up references, sending those to the artist, and then Square approves everything at the end.
Whose idea was it to? I know that, like, obviously, like, we're talking about every Final Fantasy, but whose idea was it to really put every Cid in there as well?
Oh, whose idea was that? I think that was just, everybody kind of thought it, and then I think somebody finally said it, and everybody's like, yeah, we got to do that. So the 15 Cids really did come from that. I got the Final Fantasy 7 Cid has a specific one in that deck, but yeah, getting all 15 of those was kind of like just a brainchild of everything. One thing I will give to Zakil, our product architect, I put the reprint Secret Rendezvous in the Final Fantasy 7 deck as the date scene at the Golden Saucer between Cloud and Question Mark. Yeah. So it's like you can pick any of them. Me and Dylan kind of quickly agreed. We're like, it's got to be Tifa. Like, that's just kind of like canonically right.
Yeah.
And Zakil's like, I don't know. I kind of pick Aerith or Yuffie sometimes, and then there's always the Barrett option. So in the collector boosters, you can actually find Secret Rendezvous with different arts of those other dates. So you can get all 4 of the date options.
Nice. All right. So as a noob, I didn't know that Magic had so many collaborations. Can you go ahead and like talk about some of your favorites, and if you had a wish list, go ahead and talk about it as well?
Yeah, I
personally.
Personally, I think it's this. That's why, like, this is like my dream one. It was like whenever they came to me, like, do you want to lead your first set? Plus, it's Final Fantasy. I'm like, yes, sign me up. I've had a lot of fun on the previous University Beyond. I worked on basically all of them to some degree. I was on the Fallout decks. I worked on the upcoming Spider-Man set, upcoming Avatar set. We can't really talk about this today, but they're pretty exciting. But yeah, I think Final Fantasy is that one that's like, I grew up playing this, all of my life. 17-year-old me dressed as Tidus for my first anime convention. I got that photo dug up somewhere. That was when I was 17, so I'm in my 30s now, so it's been a little bit. But we all grew up playing these games, so I think it's really like we've been working on this our whole lives, getting ready for this moment.